Next up are the two videos of our Lisk community members. The first one will be from Endro. He will tell you more about the Arcado Network. Have fun.
Hi everybody, and welcome to the presentation about Arcado. For those of you who are not familiar with our project, this is the perfect walkthrough from Lisk Builders program to where we are going. My name is Tom. You can find all my details and information on endro.io, and together with Michiel Mulders, we have participated in the Lisk Builders program in July 2020. If you want to read up on what we actually achieved, there is a blog post on lisk.io/blog/apps/building Arcado Network. To start the presentation, we wanted to emphasize why we used Lisk SDK and why we signed up for the Lisk Builders program. Now, the most specific reason why we entered was that the SDK has a modular system and everything is JavaScript. On the left-hand side, you see an architecture overview, but let's not go into detail and come back on that part. Now, what issue did we try and tackle? In Arcado's case, we wanted to create a decentralized reward system, more in specific tournaments, for any multiplayer game by providing a generic API. When we look at how a user journey was looking like, we had 5 steps. We had the join tournament. A user would pay an entry fee upon joining. A tournament creator was responsible for starting one. Then the user would play a tournament on a remote gaming environment. Then a tournament creator would publish results on what happened on a remote server, and funds are automatically sent to the first, second, and third winner in a custom transaction. Talking about custom transaction, here's how it looked in code, where we have a participants list of a tournament, where we push the address, the given address, update the asset store, we subtract the fee from a user balance, and we update the account. Step 2 was to start a tournament, where it was a very easy custom transaction where we toggle between status, which has the values 0, 1, or 2, where 1 is started. Step 4 was to stop a tournament, which status equals 2, update the asset store, of course. And step 5 was the prize pool distribution. This one was a tricky part, where we have all entries, total sum of all entry fees, and distributed according to the distribution given by a tournament creator. So first player receives funds, second player also receives, and third player also gets his share of the pie. How did that look in practice? We had 3 repositories where we had transaction repositories to remove code duplication, published those transactions to NPM, and then we have 2 applications where Arcado Desktop was for users and the Arcado SDK could be used for game developers. Our result was a lightweight blockchain with 466 JavaScript lines, 4 transactions, and it was production ready. Production ready was not pursued as we were in a proof of concept environment back then. The outcome of the Lisk Builders program was one awesome product, global exposure with a blog post that received a lot of traction. We had an LCU Lisk Center Utrecht presentation that organizes weekly meetups with the community, and we had a lot of social media traction. Additionally, Lisk provides 2,500 Swiss francs, which is also awesome, and we had a lot of community support. The community support was actually a very important one for us, as we had a lot of feedback on a specific step in our architecture. More specifically, step 3 and 4, where a gamer plays on a remote environment, and then we trust a tournament creator to publish those results in a correct manner. Now, in blockchain, it is very difficult to trust people, so this was an issue that needs to be tackled before we ever would go live. Now, let's introduce our new endeavor, that is multiplayer networking. And it's actually a layer 2 solution that renders multiplayer worlds where trust, scalability, and verification are the driving responsibilities. Let's not go too deep into theory, but let's look in practice in our user journey. So step 1, similar to our previous proof of concept, a user joins the tournament by registering and paying an entry fee. Next was the start tournament, and instead of having a person activating and toggling between a status, we have actually the tournament context giving rise to itself. So we have the sidechain data layer that contains lobby room ID and date time. Clients and game server layer are aware of what needs to happen. So step 3 is actually play the tournament in our architecture. So our game server layer handles multiplayer connectivity, and the game world state is stored in a in-game database. Player will play his tournament and maybe die, maybe win. So publishing results will also go automatically, as we have authoritative game servers that are responsible for publishing the results. Now, in detail, what happens is that there's happening a compilation of the game world state to a custom transaction, and publication is happening of the results and the metadata, where it happened on which game server, and much more in detail discussed in future blog posts. Step 5 was the prize pool distribution, but actually nothing happens on that side, as it's still the same custom transaction, but another authoritative game server is executing this one instead of a person. To wrap things up, Arcado is trying to create a limitless gaming universe where game clients can provide the imagination, and we provide an interconnected data storage, multiplayer networking, and out-of-the-box gamification with our tournaments. Now, to come back on why we actually use the Lisk SDK for Arcado, similar to before, we wanted to have the modularity, understandable code, and everything in JavaScript. As you can see, our game servers are also using Lisk submodules, and we have the sidechain node that also has HTTP plugins and additional modules that will be created. So that was it. Thank you at Lisk for hosting us in this presentation. Thank you for your attention. Our next town hall is December 7th, 2020, and more information can be found on arcado.network. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Endro. I really like the idea, and we wish you all the best with your new project.